It is a great day to film. You viewer watching this video, it is 16:9 aspect ratio. What is aspect ratio? It is the ratio of the width to the height of an image or screen. And if you go into a theater watch a film, it is 2.39:1 aspect ratio. Or if you rented a film at home, it'll be also 2.39:1 aspect ratio. Both of these aspect ratios are widescreen. Of the majority of all films filmed on a cinematic camera is 2.39:1 aspect ratio. And when you watch a film of 2.39:1 aspect ratio, you would see that there's two black bars on the bottom and top. That is called anamorphic. What is anamorphic? Anamorphic means it also refers to the projection format in which a distorted image is stretched by an anamorphic projection lens to recreate the original aspect ratio on the viewing screen. The way that anamorphic is filmed is by a tailored cinematic lens for anamorphic. Also, an adapter is available, whether it be cinematic or just a regular lens. And when a director is filming, he would use a monitor to de-squeeze the image because the image is distorted, it's stretched, so they would use a monitor to squeeze that image to actually see how that image actually looks at the monitor, because the reason is that anamorphic is a distorted image. Once they filmed with anamorphic, then in the post-production they would stretch the image so that as our eyes see, which our eyes see 55 degrees, that is our viewing angle of our eyes. Even if I see 2200 as I'm legally blind, I still have the same viewing angle as everyone else has. Putting that 55 degrees to a lens to actually see how our eyes see, you would need a 35mm lens on a full frame sensor. You have two sensors, crop sensor and full frame sensor. If you don't have an anamorphic lens that is tailored or an adaptive anamorphic, there's two ways you can fake anamorphic. One is you can change your aspect ratio from 16:9 aspect ratio to 2.39:1 aspect ratio. Now, the video editor software that I use, which is Filmora, does not do that. I tried, it didn't work out very well. That is one you can do. The second you can do is, and I will show you on the screen of my PC. You took your camera, you did all this awesome epicness, you filmed this awesome B-roll, and you just want to put this as like a cinematic look to it. So the second way you can fake it is if you go to your video editor software, whatever you use. Before I get into the video editing software, I need to transfer my files from my SD card, which the SD card holds my videos that I filmed. So I go to this PC. And then I need to find my videos of the B-rolls, which B-rolls means extra footage. Then I transfer to my desktop. Once that's transferred onto my desktop, then I create a folder. I'll call this folder B-roll nature. Then transfer all this videos to here, move here, close that, go into my video editing software. I delete my old project. And then I need to find that folder. B-roll nature. Then I Control A, enter. Once that is downloaded, I drop this into my timeline. Usually what I do is I drop by one video, so I can actually focus on one individual video. I finished cutting all my videos, and now I need to find some music. Yes, I'm going to use that one, and then I'm going to download, import. Then I'm going to transfer that over here. Now that I placed my music on my timeline, I like to add Foley meaning sound effects, so that I could, you audience can hear a little bit of the nature of that video. So I want to do that process. I finished the Foley. I need to cut this really quick. So Control B. There, I finished my film. Let's take a look how I did. The way you can put black bars in the video editing software, maybe your video editing software has this or not. The Filmora does has, if you go into overlays, and then you would notice there's two black bars right on the top. So you would just drag that and place it like so, and then you would drag it to where your film ends. And if you double click, it gives you the option to make it small or make it all the way full screen, or however you want to. Also, you can fade it out and fade in, so you can do both of those things. If your video editing software does not has that, what you can do is go to your whatever web browser that you use. I use Microsoft Edge or Chrome, and then you can go to google.com, and then you would type in PNG Anamorphic. And then you would go to the images, and then you would take this image and you would save it. Save picture as your desktop. Save. Then you would close this. I'm going to delete this. And then I'm going to go to import files. And so this is the file that is a PNG formatted picture, where I can just drag that into my timeline. And drag it to where my film ends. And there you have it. You have a black bars on the top and bottom. Now that we faked anamorphic, and now we can export the video. Now, before you export the video, stop. Just stop. I know that I should not tell what person to do. Of course, it is your free will to export that video or not. But stop for a moment and think about this. That is not true anamorphic. Whether you are changing the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 2.39 by 1 aspect ratio, or 2, you're putting PNG black bars or there's a overlay in that video. These two are fake anamorphic. That is not the true anamorphic. Whether I like anamorphic or not, which I got nothing against anamorphic. Anamorphic is a really fun filming technique, and recently Moment did an adapter for Apple and Android smartphones. I will link down below, you can check them out. What I would recommend is to not do these two steps, changing the aspect ratio or putting black bars in the bottom top. I'd recommend getting a Moment, an adapter lens on a smartphone and doing that way. I would definitely recommend that, because if you're not on a budget, then yes, you can buy a lens adapter that does anamorphic. Or if you want to go into the really high end, then you would buy a cinematic lens that has already anamorphic. But if you are on a low budget and you're trying to fake it, which I would not recommend, I would tell a person, stop doing that. Like literally, just stop. It's not real anamorphic. So I would go to the website. Right now it's on Kickstarter of Moment. Pick up one of those lenses and film on that adapter which Moment had made. Hopefully I can get hands on one of those adapters to review for you audience. What is good or bad about anamorphic? Well, to answer that question is, what value does that film has? My favorite film directors is David Lynch, Francis Ford Coppola, and Stanley Kubrick. These film directors brought value of what they filmed. They took time, years, effort, and the best equipment that they could have in their hands. So they brought value. In the broad sense of all this is that even whatever you're creating content, what value does it has? Usually we're so used to of this like action-packed, really quick, and then they throw this music and the music is already telling you what the next scene is gonna be, and then it's just like this action-packed, really quick, an hour and 45 minutes, boom, the movie's done. What value does that has? You can't pay attention what the scene is, what the story is, what is the plot. You cannot focus on those things. That's what I like about David Lynch, Francis Ford Coppola, and Stanley Kubrick, is that you actually can focus. Okay, this is the story. This is what's going on. I can think. I don't need the movie telling me what that actually is. I want to think for my own self, what is actually going on. Sorry audience for the audio. I was using my phone to record the audio with the 3.5mm headphone jack, and when I looked back on the clip, I heard this ticking sound. And so you would notice in the clips I was wearing a lav mic, and then the reason that I put in the shotgun mic is that I was using a shotgun mic throughout all the video, just in case. So it is really good to have a backup audio as like a shotgun mic. But I'm gonna use the shotgun mic from now on, but I'm not gonna use my phone. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it is a miss. You never know. I don't want to risk it, so I'm not going to use my lav mic. So I'm going to take this off. With anamorphic is that if you take a flashlight, this flashlight barely works. It's my emergency flashlight. And on a anamorphic cinematic lens or an adapter, when you take a flashlight and you flash on that anamorphic, what happens, it stretches the light as a line. Now, within our eyes, we don't see that. So if I take a flashlight and put it into my eyes, I don't see any flares. I see how it's just round. Anamorphic is not that organic. And also, I'm going to say about my videos, I'm guilty of faking anamorphic. There was a couple of videos on my channel where I faked anamorphic, and then I was like, no, I'm doing something wrong. So I went and studied through what is actually anamorphic and what is true anamorphic. I will never ever fake anamorphic. Of course, there's different types of lens. You got your 10 to 18 millimeter lens, you got to 18 to 35 millimeter lens, you got your 35, you got your 24, you got 50, you got all these sorts of lenses. Those lenses are for purpose to take the audience and, let's say for an example, bokeh. Bokeh is there to take that audience and focus on one individual thing, like this flashlight. So you would have bokeh around the flashlight and you would see that the flashlight is in focus. Well, that is the reason to take the audience and put the audience in focus for that only subject, whatever subject it is, or your zoom lens or anything like that. It is to take those lenses and actually use all those lenses and study out those lenses. They have their own purpose to make a storyline with those lenses. Whether you're filming anamorphic, whatever the aspect ratio is, what value does that video bring? If you thought this video was helpful, share it. If you like this video, click the like button. Click the notification bell to get notified when there's a new video, and also subscribe. Be brave, continue filming. Until next time, audience.